EDU 221. This is a series. We're doing a series on the best, greatest, most fantastic educators in Pueblo. You have been picked by a panel of 713 people, and that's why you're here. And I got to tell you about Shannan. She is one of my favorite people ever. She's my neighbor, she's my friend. We work together with FCA doing summer camps. She is just my rock star saint whom I admire so much, and she's a great educator. So now we'll stop, and then I'll cut that out, and then we'll go. Okay, Shannan, these questions were done by my students, at least most of them. Okay. Shannan Lane, you ready for this? My favorite person on the planet. Hey, Shannan, talk to us just a little bit about where you went to school.
Sure.
Right now, just did you go to Pueblo?
Oh boy.
Elementary, middle, high school?
Born and raised here in Pueblo. Went to Sunset Park Elementary, on to Pitts, now PAA, on to South High School. Graduated and out to CSU Pueblo for 4 years and played basketball out there and got my education at the same time.
That sounds really good. Now, yeah, so you went to school. You're a product of District 60.
I am.
And you had a bunch of teachers during this time. Is there one teacher that just stands out, and why?
Sure. I mean, elementary-wise, in 3rd grade, Mrs. Galena, Betty Galena, and she is retired a long time ago. And I saw her daughter-in-law the other day and actually asked how she was doing. And she's still ticking away, but she was very disciplined. I remember that. And I liked that structure. That was kind of right up my alley. And I was taller than her in 3rd grade. So I will always remember she had to wear her high heels to be taller than me.
Wow. Wow. Hey, when did you know? Was it sometime in there? When did you know, hey, I want to be a teacher. I want to be one of those guys, one of those gals. Was there a certain time?
You know, it's funny, I kind of ran from it. I think naturally I always knew that this was where my strength area was, but when you're going to college and you first start, you start thinking, where can I make money? Where can I go here and there? And I started out being a pharmacist. I went into Chem 1, Chem 2, botany, organic chem up through my sophomore year, and I always knew I wanted to coach basketball. That was my first love. And I knew there were some jobs that were going to allow me to do that and not allow me to do that. And that's when my mom just sat me down, I think, and said, Shannan, you've ran from this a long time. You know you're born to be a teacher. Just do the right thing. And so I did. There it was.
So you wanted to be a teacher, and so you go to CSU Pueblo.
I do.
And did you get right into the teacher's program?
Yeah, I did. I went first to be an elementary school teacher, so K through 6 is what I did. I knew my heart was the PE background. I felt even doing some hours, I knew that I was more comfortable in the gym. That was just my forte. The classroom made me a little jumpy and nervous. However, the more I got comfortable and confident, I think I taught in the classroom for 9 years. So I definitely knew that realm. I went on to get my master's from Greeley, and I did it through sports administration, and then it had a PE emphasis, and I went ahead and took my test and got a PE K through 12 also. So I knew PE, I was able to go that route, but I waited for the right time, and I knew with coaching basketball and trying to grade papers and handle a 4th and 5th grade classroom, I knew eventually I'd need to get into the PE realm, which I did.
Hey, that's really good.
Yep.
Let's say at the college level, what were your struggles? And you were a great athlete, great basketball player at the college. Being a student athlete is pretty difficult. Did you have struggles balancing your schedule?
You know, I think they're a little bit easier today. Teachers back then, they hated you missing class, and we obviously had to because we traveled a lot. We would do that Friday, Saturday, back-to-back games, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So I did miss some classes in there. Some teachers were really good about it, and some teachers had a hard time. But for the most part, they were okay. I think a challenging class, which is funny, and I think if you're going into teaching, you need to know this. You always feel like your strength area. Mine was math. And I've always been a strong mathematical girl, went through calculus my senior year, and here I am teaching how to teach elementary math, and I'm getting a B. And I've never pulled a B in my life. And so I went into
Wait, Shannon, hold it.
Yeah.
You up to this time,
No.
you never had a B in your life?
No, especially in math.
If I'd have got a B on my report card, my dad would ask me, who are you cheating from, son?
Yeah.
That is, wow, I'm just going to stop. You've never got a B in your life. That is fantastic. But you got a B in your strength area.
I'm getting this B in this class, and I went into the professor and I said, listen, I don't understand why. This is elementary math. I can do this. I do the fraction problem. But these questions were weird because they were questions like, Johnny says 1/4 plus 1/3 is 2/7. You know, he's adding across. Tell Johnny what he's doing wrong. And it was hard for me at that time to say, well, I know he's not finding the common denominator, but how do you conceptually explain that? I understood math. I could get right or wrong answers. I'm not a gray, I'm black or white, right or wrong. But to go into that gray area and have to explain conceptually with pictures and diagrams, man, it tested me. You know, I got an 89.8. And I was able to pull an A in that class.
Yes.
It was such a struggle.
So your GPA, this is awesome. You're a student athlete, CSU Pueblo, playing basketball, and your GPA when you graduated was?
It was not a 4.0. There were some in there that I was able to, that I ended up getting B's in, but not in math.
Wow.
In math, but
That's a
it was
student
pretty high. It was a 3.8.
And we're going to get to your basketball and your coaching later. But student first?
Always.
When you were playing basketball, that was your philosophy? I'm a student first and then basketball?
Always, yes.
Wow.
I think it's just that some people have that personality, that type A personality, and that's me. It's a struggle at times. My husband will say that.
Oh, that's really good. So, Shannon, today they have to take a test called the Praxis Test before they can even student teach.
Right.
I don't know what it was called, but you had to take a series of tests before you could student teach and become a teacher. Explain just how hard they were, what we could do that maybe would help prepare us a little bit.
Gosh, Tim, I'm just even trying to think back 20 years. You know, I've been teaching for that long, 21 years. And so I'm not exactly sure. I have to tell you, I think back when we did student teaching, there was a clause in there. If you had a certain grade point average, I don't think you had to take a test before you student taught. After you student taught to get your teaching license, of course you did.
Now those tests, were they hard? Were you ready for them? And you're type A, so I know this was right up your alley.
Well, again, black or white, some of those, just kind of like your ACT and SATs, some of those in there when you have to explain, or I hated those questions where they show you a picture and they ask you what you think of the picture and then count it wrong. You know, I'm like, how is this even my opinion? You know, how does this work?
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, of course not. But, you know, just test-taking strategies obviously always helps. And I don't know this test, I'm not familiar with it. I will tell you, teachers right now, under District 60, all teachers have to have so many hours of reading right now, elementary, and it just started. By July, middle of July this year, everyone has to be endorsed, including myself.
Wow.
K through 2, and then they're going to start 3 through 5. High school has their own thing they're having to go through. And one of the things is you can take the Praxis and not have to do the hours online of the classes. So some of my teacher friends are opting to take that test.
Yeah. You know, what's cool about that Praxis test, I've heard, you can take a series of tests and be endorsed in those areas and they'll put it on your license.
Oh, nice.
If you pass them, yeah.
Okay.
So that's really good. So now, student teaching, where'd you student teach at?
Carlisle Elementary.
In PE?
No, classroom.
Classroom.
So I was K through 6 at that time. So I student taught with Connie Elson in 4th grade. And I was done student teaching in December, so I did the fall, and right down the hall was a 5th grade teacher, Mary Martin, who actually moved to our reading specialist position. And so my student teaching ended on Friday, and I picked up her 5th grade classroom on Monday, and that's when I started teaching.
Wow, wow. So you didn't really have to go worry about a job. You didn't have to worry too much about the interviews or the applications. Wow, that's just because that's how good you are. You were a first-round draft pick, my friend, from District 60. You were. Right. So, were there any struggles student teaching?
Oh, always.
What was I don't know if you can remember, but the hardest thing about student teaching was, fill in the blank. The hardest thing about student teaching was
learning all the behind-the-scenes things that take place, the paperwork, understanding special education, understanding what an RTI is, understanding how to put kids on plans, understanding that your curriculum is supposed to be a one-shoe-fits-all, and it isn't, and learning how to change your lesson and make teacher moves during lessons. There was a lot that even back then, and even teachers have been, I think, even more and more placed on them now. I think that was a struggle, and then I inherited a class that the teacher was wonderful. Mary was wonderful. However, she was the most disorganized teacher I've ever known. But you went in her classroom and she knew exactly where it was. If you said, Mary, I need this, she knew. But then I inherited this non-organization classroom, and that was hard for me, my type A, so I had to come in during the weekend and clean some things and do some things in the off time.
Okay, Shannon, you are a first-year teacher, brand new, coming in mid-year, which is really hard. And everybody always wants to know about bulletin boards.
Right.
You know, this is your stage. Tell us about your bulletin boards. Do you remember?
Well, if you're an elementary school teacher, get ready, because I think elementary school teachers definitely go overboard and create vibrant, loving bulletin boards. They usually have 4 or 5 of them in the classroom. But I will tell you, 2 or 3 of them are taken up by, a lot of times your principal will give you what they want up as far as maybe certain things for reading, a race response, whether, what the R is for, restate, answer, cite evidence, and they have things that they want up in the classroom. Slant is another one. Depending on the school that you're at, sometimes they will tell you, what they want up on certain bulletin boards, and then other ones are free, whether you're putting a calendar up or, race cars. A lot of, nowadays they want data boards. So whether you're doing Dibbles data, which is reading, and you have kids that have numbers with cars and you're moving those cars every week, data boards are always good to have as well, but they take a lot of time. I try not to do seasonal ones because then you're constantly changing them. I like ones that can stay up all year, so that's kind of a trick. And getting border and things like that. I mean, I've gone expensive bulletin boards where I put material behind them, but then the material I can use every year. Sometimes they fade if you have a classroom that has a lot of light that comes in. But elementary school teachers, I've made curtains, I've made book bags in the back on the chairs. I had my mom sew about 20 of them.
What a great idea. I never heard of that.
Okay. So my husband got a job first before I did, because I was student teaching still, and I just remember he signed for $29,000 for that year. So you divide that by 12 and figure out that $2,000 some dollars a month, and we had a little what did we have, a $600 house payment, and I sometimes wonder, how did we make it? But that was before cell phones and before all these things that you pay now, and gosh, I mean, yeah, we made it, so amazingly. But now I think they start, now I'm thinking that they're up around 40,000.
Wow, that's good. That's good. My first paycheck was $711.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
and they said, and I still had money left over. No, I didn't.
Right.
Shannon, what was the hardest thing? Do you remember a memory about being a first-year teacher? What was the hardest thing?
Gosh, I was coaching as well as teaching. So I think just the management of trying to daily keep up the lessons that I had never taught before. And so lots of teachers who had been a second grade teacher and it was their 3rd or 4th year or 10th year, they knew the curriculum, they knew what they were doing, and they could go home, look over their notes, and come back and they're ready to rock and roll. Me, I had to learn everything. And so at night when I'd get home for practice at 6:30, I'm up grading papers and looking over for the next lesson. And so lots of late nights, especially on nights we had games. We'd have games until 9:30, and then I'd get home. If we were traveling to Alamosa, Canyon City, would be home by 11. And so those were nights that were tough. And just trying to be prepared, because you want to be the best teacher you could be, but also balance coaching. That was hard, very hard.
Well, so for first year teachers, everybody wants to know, how should they dress? Let's just say in the classroom.
Sure.
Yeah. What kind of clothes? What type of attire? You know.
Well, I don't think principals like to say this. They don't like to say don't wear jeans, but they kind of imply it. Most of the places I've worked at, they just like you to wear dress pants. I've worn jeans and looked real nice up, at your top, and you can dress up jeans, but they steer you away from that. It used to be a Friday thing, you know that, and Fridays were the big day.
Yeah.
Now that we don't have Friday school, I know our principal likes us to do that on Thursday, and Thursday's a college day, or for us, Minnequaw Day. So we wear our college shirts or our Minnequaw shirts with jeans. But other than that, we try to at least wear dress pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Is one of the questions somebody wanted me to ask you, is teaching so many subjects in elementary school, is it difficult?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It is. Knowing all the different curriculums is very hard. And I will tell you, our principal allowed us this year, and it's something that I did at Carlisle, and I had brought up, but you have to have a lot of trust in your teammates and your teachers that you teach with. But they compartmentalized this year in 4th and 5th, where we have 2 4th grade teachers. One teaches all the math and one teaches all the reading. And then they both do writing and they both do social studies and things like that. In 5th grade, we have 3 teachers. We have a writing teacher, a reading teacher, and a math teacher, and the kids rotate. And so they're in like an hour and 10 minutes of math. They're in.
I like
and
that.
So it just makes you good at your craft again, kind of like high school and middle school. And so it helps. But I will not lie. Trying to be good at all of them is a tough thing. It is to juggle.
Do you ever have any tough times with your fellow teachers? I mean, do you butt heads once in a while? And is that something that's just going to happen?
Well, and me being a coach, I think I try to prep my athletes all the time. You are not going to get along with everyone you work with. You're not. I have been blessed many years in the classroom with great teammates, awesome teammates. But I've also had teammates that were difficult and lots of prayer that year. But I would say, always be ready. But for the most part, teachers really do try to help each other.
Yeah.
And they do. And they love one another, and they understand what you're going through, and you're going through it with them. And so for the most part, I know a lot of times your personalities might differ. Just like I told you about Mary Martin and me taking her. She was... she had things disorganized all over her classroom, but that's how she functioned. That's how she functioned. And she functioned in a very noisy classroom. She allowed conversation, which I had to really learn how to do. I was very, you're not learning unless you're quiet. The classroom had to be quiet. And I really had to let go of that as I've taught.
Yeah. Well, why lesson plans?
Oh, you need them badly. But I will tell you something. One thing I used to get mad at coming out of college and teaching, we never had to write lesson plans the way they made us write them in college. We had to write these massive 5 to 6 page lesson plans, and that's not how it works. We do have to make sure we have an objective and we understand where we're going, and we definitely want to have questions that are being asked, because you never want to go into a lesson not ready and prepared, especially getting some of those the kids are going to come at you at different angles and not being prepared for questions. And even with your special education kids, how are you going to differentiate for them? During a writing assignment, how are you going to differentiate this math for them when they can't even add 10 plus 7 and you're asking them to add 1,300? You might be teaching 4th grade, but they're at a different level. There's lots of things you have to lesson plan for, but not in the detail that we had to do in college.
Yeah. Did you ever, Miss Shannan Lane, did you ever want to quit? This is it, I'm done, I'm leaving.
Oh gosh, tough question. You know, I really don't think I have. I don't.
That's good. Best day, worst day?
Yeah.
Give me a best day, your very best day, best memory so far after 20 plus years in the classroom. Best day.
Honestly, my best day was once I got into the gym. And I've been teaching in the gym for 11 years now. And when I went home and I walked into the gym and I saw this is where I've grown up since I was 5, and I went all the way till I was 22 in a gym. The gym, you can give me 100 kids in a gym and I can organize anything.
I've seen you do it.
I can do it, and it's familiar territory for me. And I think that was probably my best day, is I was able to get into education, but I was able to specialize. And I think that's what you're going to see as being a teacher. Once you get your feet in education and your foot in that door, there are so many different areas you can specialize in, whether it's counseling, whether it's ESS, whether it's something. And a lot of times you know after the first 2 or 3 years, like, the classroom may not be for me. I think I really am interested in this. And so go with your gut, get into getting a master's degree. I did my 2nd year into teaching. I went and got my master's, and it's the best thing that I ever did.
So you've never wanted to quit, but I know you've had a bad day. How, do you have anything, we've had a bad day, are there any tips to get over that bad day so it doesn't spill over to the next day? Is there anything you do?
Hide things very well from children, you know. I know sometimes you're not supposed to take things home, and that's been kind of a marriage thing for Scott and I, but when you're dealing, and he's an elementary school teacher as well, when you're dealing with young children, you put on the face, and no matter what kind of day you're having, you've got to hide it. I went through 9/11 in the classroom. We've gone through some big things where you had to put on that face, and you had to be there, and you had to be there for them. And lots of times these little ones ask tough questions. Look at what's happening in our world now. And you have kids that are constantly wanting to talk about things, and you've got to be able to speak positive energy into their life. And go home if you need to and vent. Go get some coffee. You know, there are other ways that you can do, but you do have to know how to mask things.
Yeah, that's great. And a good night's sleep, real important.
Very.
Because the sun comes out the next day, the birds are
right.
singing, and the kids will forget everything by the next day.
We don't, but they do.
You know, we're moving on to your coaching, your athletics. I just want to read something because I have this, and you know I have this, that Shannan, if you didn't know, she is the men's basketball coach at South High School. This will be her first year. Are you the first female to coach varsity basketball in Pueblo?
I think so.
And what about the state?
I think there is, there's been 1 or 2 others, and there's one currently coaching somewhere I think in a 2A school.
This is awesome. Let me just kind of read what you did. You played basketball at the college, and I know you hold some records there, right? What are some, do you know some of the records?
I really don't.
Well, I'm telling you, she is one awesome basketball player, and she coached 11 seasons. Now here's her stats. Her team's finished with over 20 wins every season. I don't know if anybody in the state has done that at your level. Your record is, listen to this, 238-50. That's an 83% winning percentage. You know, I coached middle school girls basketball, and I wasn't anywhere close to that. You were at the top level. I just want you to stop and think about that for a minute. An 83% winning percentage. Her teams were always in the playoffs, always in the Final Four, and won the state championship in 2013. You are just amazing. So, why coach? Because we've got all this other stuff you just talked about, and you're spending late nights. Why coach, Shannan?
Well, that is my true passion and love. It always has been. I think that's what coaches make some great teachers. I think in the way that they can relate to kids, the way they talk to kids, and the way they motivate. I think motivation is a huge thing. Become a motivator. If you're going to be a teacher, you have got to motivate these kids nowadays to want to learn. And how are you going to get them to want to learn? And I think coaching, just kind of the qualities that it takes to coach, just kind of goes right into being a teacher. And so I always knew I wanted to be a coach. I'm bred from a coaching family. My dad coached college ball for men's college for 30 plus years. My brother now is a college coach and has been for the last couple of years. And my sister Rachel is married to a high school basketball coach as well. We just
Shannan, of all the gal basketball players you've seen, I just want to know, for me, the best you've ever seen, and I know it's close, but you got to pick one, Shannan. The best you've ever seen.
And you've really put me on the spot.
I know.
Because truly, I will say, in the 90s, there was no basketball like South basketball. There just wasn't South girls. So coming out of Pueblo, that's where you were. They won state 3 years in a row. I was a part of that actually in '94, and I played with a lot of great athletes. And it's really hard because probably my best friend will kick me if I don't say her, but I'm not going to. No. We had two girls that came out. One girl was a year older than I was. Lisa Siders was her name. She was 6'4".
I remember
She
her.
went to Pepperdine. And she's up on the wall. We have a picture of our team up there. And everyone thinks that she's sitting on the rim, and she's not. That is actually how tall she is. And Lisa went to Pepperdine, made freshman of the year that year. I'll tell you, the second one was 2 years ahead of me, was our point guard, Dee Dee Dominguez. Dee Dee went to CSU Fort Collins, and I will tell you, she holds the record behind Becky Hammond, second at CSU Fort Collins for assists. And so you can look her up, and she is right there. She went and coached at DU for a couple years, and she was just a magnificent point guard, just unbelievable. And of course, I got so many more. I mean, the one that's my age, of course, would be Shiloh Justice, who's a very good friend of mine. But Shy only went D2. She went to Metro, had some knee issues, blew out her knee her sophomore year, and there were some issues there. And of course, Timmy Jo Miller came a year after I did. We had just a stunt of kids going off to college and playing ball during the 90s. And there just aren't teams like that anymore. That we grew up together in 5th grade, and we always had a couple kids older than us, like Dee Dee and those girls, then a year older, Stacy McWilliams and Andrea, and they all went and played college ball, and Lisa Siders, and then, you know, we had Nadia behind us, and Timmy Jo, and Trista Morenz, and, you know, I don't know, it just was some great years there.
Great athletes.
Great athletes.
I got an opportunity to coach Timmy Jo when she was in middle school, and she was great.
Yeah.
And so now, your favorite memory of coaching. This is hard. I saw the film you shared with me about your last game at the state tournament. We showed that when you became our 2020 FCA game changer of the year, and I got to tell you, I just cried like it was the best. But you had to make the big decision to quit coaching girls basketball.
I did.
How hard was that?
Last year. You know, it wasn't as hard as I had thought. I was ready. You know, we had made 3 title runs. We were in the championship game three years in a row there, where we had lost to Evergreen twice, and we lost in 2019 to Mullen. This last year was, I knew it was going to be my last year, and I have 2 boys, one that's heading into high school, and I knew this was, I needed to do that so that I could be involved more, I think, with them as a mom and to coach them. You know, I coached my little one in basketball. So I had these little 8 and 9-year-old kids running around me. I've never coached kids this young. And boys who don't listen at that age. But anyway, it was great, and I coached my kid, and he tore his ACL playing ball in 8th grade, and I needed to be there for all that because we had a lot of rehab to do, and so I knew it was the right time.
Yeah. So now this opportunity that puts you at a level that not many have been in. You are now the head basketball coach at South High School. How excited are you, Coach, for this season?
Well, for the boys, and it is different. It's been different with COVID. I'm used to playing 25 to 30 games in June. We had no summer. I don't even know the boys as much as I should. We were able to practice 4 days a week, but there was no contact. So you can imagine evaluating kids on shots and passing and dribbling. And we had to stay 6 feet apart, and we had to disinfect all the balls, and we had to take temperatures. I felt like a nurse, and I was able to kind of evaluate the kids, but I haven't even seen them up and down yet. And then Monday came when football opened this last week, and we're in full swing this week, and I can scrimmage and I can practice, and District 60 kind of had the handcuffs on us for a while, and it's been real nerve-wracking for me because I've been a coach that's been very prepared. I'm behind all these other coaches right now. It worries me because they have teams that they've coached. I mean, if this happened during the time I was coaching girls, I wouldn't worry about it. I knew my team. I knew who was coming back. They knew our offenses, defenses, things like that, but I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But I'm excited we get to start. Put it that way.
This thing I know about you, Shannan Lane, you are the best. You are always the best prepared. You are always the best coach. You are always the best person for me. And I hope everybody enjoyed Shannan Lane and all that she does for this community and all the young lives that she impacts in the classroom, in PE class, on the basketball court. And of course, she does my summer camps for basketball. And so I've known you a long time. And the first time I met you, I just said this: there's something special about this one. Shannan Lane, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts here at PCC, Pueblo Community College in EDU.
Well, good luck to all your students as well.